The Army was the first in our government to put together a solicitation to help start rebuilding the American industrial base for small drones and to allow companies like Teal to build advanced technology while also building up our own capabilities to be able to one day compete at a global scale against someone like a DJI.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 309. How can small U.S. drone manufacturers compete on the world stage? If you ask today's guest, he would say by making a better, smarter, and faster high-performance drone. A U.S. manufacturer of specialty drones for the commercial and military sector. Based in Salt Lake City, Teal is focused on pioneering new uses for drone systems, beyond the flying camera applications so often seen in use today. The development of complex air control, data processing, and mapping technologies housed in rugged high-performance drones allows Teal to transform how the military, public safety organizations, and commercial enterprises operate. George started Teal Drones in 2014 when he was only a sophomore in high school. Today, the company is making headlines with its signature product, the Golden Eagle drone, a secure, intelligent, rugged, and high-performance drone system produced to exacting U.S. defense industry standards. In this edition of the Drone Radio Show, George introduces us to Teal Drones, the Golden Eagle drone, and shares how a young high school student is now competing globally in the drone industry. But before we hear from George, I want to thank those of you who are supporting my funding campaign. Whether it's $1, $100, or much more, you can help defray the cost of production and keep the podcast going and growing. Go to droneradioshow.com/donate. So let's learn how a small U.S. drone manufacturer is competing globally with George Matus of Teal Drone. Let's pick up the interview where I asked George to introduce himself.
My name is George Matus, and I am the founder and CEO at Teal Drones.
George, what is Teal Drones?
I started Teal about 6 years ago with the idea of eventually enabling unmanned systems to be more than just flying cameras. So Teal's purpose is to do just that, and today we manufacture our own full-stack platforms.
You said you started the company to produce more than a flying camera. What did you have in mind?
So when I was about 10 years old, I started flying RC planes and helicopters and became deeply passionate about the hobby. And then when drones started becoming a thing, I saw some potential there and began learning more about them, started building my own through high school, built a variety of platforms and technologies. And ultimately, I gained this really strong conviction that one day drones will fundamentally improve how we work and live. But I noticed that wasn't happening yet because all drones did was take photos and videos. They're all coming from China and they serve that single purpose. And so the idea with Teal was to broaden that scope and that capability and allow drones to be much more, and doing that through autonomy, artificial intelligence, advanced sensors and compute, and hopefully contributing to that exciting future we all originally envisioned.
So let's talk about where the company is today. Can you describe the products that Teal Drone produces?
So today, our flagship product we call the Golden Eagle. It's a small drone meant for three primary use cases. It was actually designed for the U.S. Army. So we started building this system about 2 years ago. Essentially is designed to fulfill specific intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance use cases. It's meant for public safety. It's meant for inspections. And it's fully made here in the U.S., fully approved by the U.S. government through this program that we've now gone through. And we are now ramping up our production.
How did you break into the military market?
So I'll talk a little bit first about the history of kind of what's happened in the market over the past couple of years. In 2017, I think the industry as a whole kind of reached its trough of disillusionment, where a lot of companies here in America were failing. China was monopolizing the market. A lot of investors and venture capitalists lost money. And at the same time, drones didn't really change. They stayed as just flying cameras still. And what happened towards the end of 2017 is the US Army banned use of all of their DJI drones. And so that left them without this small drone type of a capability to see what's over the next hill or around the next corner. And so the Army was the first group in our government to put together a solicitation to help start rebuilding the American industrial base for small drones and to allow companies like Teal to build advanced technology and ultimately field it into the government, while also building up our own capabilities to be able to one day compete at a global scale against someone like a DJI. And so in 2018, the Army put this program together. They called it Short Range Reconnaissance. Teal was one of the 5 companies that entered that program, was funded to develop this next generation aircraft to meet the Army's needs. And after about 2 years, we now are coming out of that development cycle with this very capable platform that is not only meant for government use, but also commercial use, and is also now fully vetted and validated by the US government standards.
What was the development process like working with the Army?
This was really interesting for us, obviously, because it was the first time we ever worked with the government. And we were quite fortunate to be able to also work with a group in the DoD called the Defense Innovation Unit. They helped coordinate the program between the 5 vendors and the Army. And so DIU, if folks out there don't know who they are, they're a group in the DoD that helps accelerate the integration and deployment of commercial technology into the government. And so they help you navigate the government and help you work through those contracts. And with them, it was still a learning process, but they definitely helped us navigate the whole process. So it was about a 2-year development cycle. Within that, there were a lot of opportunities to demonstrate the technology, work with end users, get feedback and critical feedback, which was hugely valuable. And we think coming out of this, us and the others that were part of the program now have something, I'd say, really compelling to offer to the market.
And one of the unique facets of Teal Drones is that it's an American drone manufacturer.
Yeah, that's actually absolutely right. I think Teal was actually the first company in this category of drone to mass produce domestically. That was with our Teal 1 consumer product. Back in the day, we were producing those in quantities of 1,000 plus, and have taken that same process and applied it to Golden Eagle. And currently we manufacture and do all of our final assembly in Colorado.
So tell us about the Golden Eagle drone.
Golden Eagle is essentially the direction I always wanted to take Teal. It maintains our original vision of having advanced sensors and advanced compute on board that unlock advanced autonomous and AI capabilities. But as we look specifically to the performance specification that we designed Golden Eagle towards, which came from the Army, that was to provide 30 minutes of flight time, 3 kilometers of range, cybersecurity and encrypted video transmission, command and control, and media storage, ruggedized for harsh operating environments, 4K imaging and thermal imaging, portable morphology, so it's really easy to transport, and it's rucksack portable. And one really unique thing about the Golden Eagle in what it provides is its modularity. So I'm biased, but I think this is a huge benefit to any kind of end user, where basically any part on the Golden Eagle can be replaced or repaired without the use of special tools within seconds. And at the same time, they can be upgraded. So we can plug in different payloads, propulsion systems, batteries, and Golden Eagle can get better over time, not only with its software and autonomy capabilities, but also in its hardware. So that's gotten a lot of great feedback from users and customers and a small part of why we think it's special.
Is it also on the DoD Certified product list?
Yeah, so coming out of that Army program, the DoD put together this other program called Blue UAS. So essentially those 5 companies, including Teal, that were working on the Army program became part of the Blue UAS program. So through that, we had our software approved and verified by an independent third party through the Air Force, had our supply chain validated to be National Defense Authorization Act compliant. And with that, are fully approved to deploy Golden Eagle into all of these different markets.
And one of the real benefits is that if an agency is using federal funds, they can contract directly with Teal Drones, knowing that it meets the government specifications.
That's absolutely right. And finally, these departments that have been going without this small drone capability now have a list of options that they can choose from that they know are trusted and secure.
George, what type of missions or capabilities is the Golden Eagle best suited for?
So like I mentioned a little bit earlier, it is truly a dual-use product. So it was designed to meet the Army's performance specification, but at the same time, that just means that it's really robust and capable for commercial use cases as well. So we have a couple different flavors, one specific to the military and their radio frequency needs, and another configuration for commercial users. Other than the data link, everything else is the same. And essentially, you can think of Golden Eagle as like a DJI Mavic replacement with a thermal camera, with modularity, and with the security and approval that comes along with it. So we're super excited to start getting it out there now and starting to fill that gap left by DJI's removal.
How has that part of the market responded?
So far, 100%. It's actually been pretty great to see since we announced Golden Eagle. We've been getting inbound not only from the government, but from the commercial side as well. And not just North America, but international too. It's interesting to see this big trend momentum shift away from DJI where everyone's just wanting a compelling alternative.
What about the drone's autonomous or AI capabilities?
So one thing I like to talk about first is one of the big inflection points that the industry has gone through and will continue to go into. A couple of years ago, as we all know, it took several people to fly one commercial drone. You had a pilot, a spotter, a camera operator. And about 2 years ago, we hit that inflection point where today for most commercial operations, you really only need one operator and they're able to do everything. Moving forward, and something that Teal wants to help enable is the ability for one operator to control a whole fleet of drones effectively, where they understand their environment, they're able to work with each other and perform tasks intelligently. And so Golden Eagle is the first step in that direction. It has a very powerful computer built in that we partnered with Qualcomm on and integrated. We have visual obstacle avoidance, visual inertial odometry, and again, like I mentioned before, the ability to upgrade it over time in both hardware and software. And so I think over the next 2 to 3 years, some really interesting things are going to start coming to fruition.
How long has the Golden Eagle been available to the commercial market?
We announced it just a couple of months ago, actually. We've been taking pre-orders and reservations. We are shipping out our first batch now and are going to be shipping out batches on about a monthly cadence, scaling up through this year.
Is there a difference in working with the commercial sector versus the military?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the product is pretty much the same, but the workflows are very different. And so every use case and every customer has different needs. And we're doing our best to satisfy those and get those folks exactly what they need.
I'm looking at the controller on the webpage. Is there anything about it that we should know?
I'm excited you brought that up, actually, because about halfway through our development cycle with the Army, they also asked us to build a ground station that can provide an alternative capability to the big and heavy controller that the Army is using for their other drones. And so we designed this ground station and went from, drawing on the back of a napkin to first prototypes in I'd say 3 months. And then another 3 months after that to start getting into production. Probably the fastest development cycle we've ever gone through internally here. But the idea with this ground station was to obviously work seamlessly with Golden Eagle, but also be a really solid option for other vehicles and systems. Largest display in its category of ground station. All of the joysticks and buttons are IP68 rated, and they actually mimic the layout of the Army's much more expensive controller. The battery that is used is actually the same battery as the aircraft. So if you're using both our ground station and aircraft, you only need one type of battery, one type of charger. Battery life is like 10 hours. And then it supports a variety of radios to work with Golden Eagle as well as others.
I know you touched upon this earlier, but let's run through some of the specs for the Golden Eagle.
Yeah, takes less than 2 minutes to unpack and get in the air. Flies for up to 30 minutes with the stock propulsion system. And after I talk about some other specs, we'll come back to that. 50 mile per hour top speed, can sustain winds of up to at least 30 miles per hour. I've flown and we've flown in up to 40 miles per hour. IP53 rated for dust and rain. Weighs about 2 pounds. It folds down into a really small tactical case. We have a 4K surveillance grade sensor, as well as a FLIR Boson 320 for the thermal imaging side of things, both mechanically stabilized on the same gimbal. And beyond that, some nerdy stuff, AES 256 encryption on command and control and video transmission. We support something called secure boot capability, which guarantees and makes it impossible for any bad software to be loaded onto the drone inadvertently. And to quickly go back to that modularity side of things, one of the first upgrades we're going to be offering is an endurance configuration that boosts flight time up to 50 minutes, provides up to 4 pounds of payload capacity, and allows a new subset of use cases. Later this year, we'll also be coming out with a payload with a higher resolution thermal component and some other neat things that we'll be ready to announce soon.
And also, I think I read where it's quieter than most drones.
Yes, the acoustic signature is very low, given how we've designed the airframe and the propulsion system. The cross-section of the drone itself is also very thin. I think it's the thinnest drone in its category. Very sleek, very vertically integrated. And for government users, we do have an option that provides even greater, or I should say even lower acoustic signatures, should they want that.
Do you produce other products in addition to the Golden Eagle?
So right now we're focused on Golden Eagle and the TAC, which is our ground station. We're starting to ship those right now, and hopefully if we're able to grow and build a team, we definitely have some other things we'd like to build on our roadmap.
Are you producing the airframe or other components yourself, or is everything being pulled from manufacturers throughout the country?
So our bill of materials definitely is quite large, but everything comes here. The printed circuit board assemblies are done here in the US. All of the final assembly, software provisioning, calibration, testing and validation, essentially everything needed to manufacture and produce the product is all done here.
How close are you to your original vision for the company?
I think we're still on track. We think about it every day. We use it to help guide us in our product development, and we used it for the Teal 1, now the Golden Eagle. And I think we've now built a really strong core and a really strong foundation, both on the hardware and software side, that will allow us to very quickly begin deploying some really neat next generation capabilities for existing use cases and new ones as well over the next year and beyond.
Is this your first startup company?
It is, yeah. I actually started Teal. I was a junior in high school, decided to defer college, and thankfully was able to build a team of people much smarter than myself around me here.
As a junior in high school, did you have any difficulty in convincing people that you were serious?
I mean, they probably immediately saw that I was really naive on the business side and didn't know much about how to run a company. But I think they saw the passion, a little bit of the vision, and some of the potential for the future. And so the combination of the timing in the market, the product, I think gave me the opportunity to get things rolling.
What was the biggest challenge that you had to overcome to really advance the company?
I love that question. I think the biggest thing for us, as I would imagine it is for almost anyone, is finding the right people to join your team. That was hard for us, and we definitely did not get it right the first time, or maybe even the second time, meaning that when I first started the company, we had scaled the team pretty fast, quickly found out we had a few folks that were toxic to the culture or didn't have, our interests at heart. And so over the first couple of years, we really had to iterate on that. And today I can say that everyone at Teal is meant to be here, is extremely dedicated and passionate about what they're doing. And if I could go back, I would definitely take a little bit more time and vet some people before deciding to hire them.
Is that maybe one of the big lessons learned, that you were perhaps too eager to get started?
Yeah. And frankly, I didn't know much about how to work with people or lead people or who the people should be that I should hire. And that was kind of trial by fire, pun intended, for a little bit. And then I think pretty quickly learned what works and what doesn't.
Whatever it was, it led you to the path that you're on now, and things seem to be moving in the right direction.
Yeah, no, I'm very grateful for it. Very grateful for the team and what's been happening in the market and the opportunities we now have. I'm genuinely excited about it.
What advice would you give to other entrepreneurs who are trying to establish their own company?
One of my favorite sayings is sometimes it's like eating glass and staring into the abyss. But it is the most rewarding thing that I've ever done. And I can't imagine ever doing anything else. So if someone has conviction about it, I think, they should just take it one step at a time and keep in mind what's driving them.
What does Teal Drones have on the horizon?
Well, I think 2021 is by far going to be our biggest year. We're now ramping up production. Like I said, beginning to ship our first batch. We are growing our team. We're raising more money. I think this will be a very formative year for the company and start to enable even more and allow us to build even more moving forward.
When you think about how drones will fundamentally change our lives, is there something that hasn't been done yet with a drone that you look forward to seeing happen?
Yeah, I don't think they've truly become mainstream yet. I don't think they've become intelligent enough. I don't think they've become useful enough or valuable enough. Really, even like DJI's most advanced drones, all they do is take photos and videos. And I don't think that's enough to fundamentally change anything. So there have to be some really, really big advancements on autonomy, on sensors, to allow them to really have the impact that they can. And once they do, I think people are going to be blown away at what's possible.
Is there anything that we missed that we should talk about?
No, I think this is pretty good coverage. If anyone would like to learn more, they can feel free to reach out to us or check out our website. I think the last thing I'd like to say there is I really do believe the future is bright here.
And for my last question, George, what message would you like to leave regarding the future of the drone industry?
Well, I will end with what I began with, and what I began with when I started the company. And that is that drones will fundamentally improve how we work and live. And I think we're in one of our final inflection points on the technology side as an industry. And the next 5 years are going to be really amazing to show people what good drones can do and the incredible impacts they can have. And finally, make that original idea true that still hasn't gotten there today.
That's it for episode 309 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from George Matus of Teal Drones. I want to thank George for taking the time to speak with me. If you want to learn more about Teal Drones or want to connect with George, check out the website at tealdrones.com. If you like the Drone Radio Show, please consider supporting the podcast with a small donation. The content is always free, but for as little as $1, you can help defray the cost of production. To donate, go to droneradioshow.com/donate. And thanks for listening. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.